Good morning. It is Wednesday, August 21st at 11:19 a.m. Hope you're doing well. It's been a little over a week since we talked. I've been keeping my eye on practice reports and have compiled a couple notes, things that stuck out to me. So I'm going to talk about practice today. I'm going to talk about a little bit about basketball culture and a note about something that I find special, and I still even go look back at it, a video from just before Purdue went on to the Final Four. That's something that just sticks out to me. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors. Let me do that. Head over to homefieldapparel.com, enter Boiled23 after you've compiled your list of things you're going to get. If you enter Boiled25, if you enter Boiled25 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out the Platinum Pack though. Platinum Pack is probably the way to go right now. A lot of cool stuff, curated group of products that they think you'll like, and I think you'll like too. Good stuff there. Home Field Apparel. And when you're on campus, head towards Fire Station. Go see Adam and Jake. If you haven't seen the most recent promo for the Friday. French Friday, that is, put together by AJ's. I suggest you check it out on Instagram. I think it's on other outlets too, but the actor in it deserves many awards. Handsome and very believable. Pardon me. EatAJ's.com if you want to order ahead. Burgers, beef, and beer. That's AJ's. So, yeah, it's been a little over a week. Let me talk about the first thing is one thing that I found noteworthy in the last week. First off, right after I posted my idea of optimism, even more injuries on the football team sprouted up. I mean, I think I counted, what did I say? 17 to 20 injuries. Guys that were out, just nicked and cut. Nothing serious, nothing new from when I had posted. But that's a lot of guys. Since then, the good news is I think 9 of those guys have returned. So that's really good. We're on a bit of a roller coaster. It's not really that big of a deal. It feels to me like Walters is managing injuries. The one really bad thing is a pair of those Georgia standouts who are probably going to start. I think Green and Smith both remain out. We knew they were going to be out for the Indiana State game. The question is, how severe are those injuries? I know that he's just trying to make sure they get healthy. But they're going to be out for Indiana State, but they haven't been practicing. That's the thing that bothers me. When the guys are out of practice for a long period of time, you wonder how quickly they can get back into the flow of things, that sort of thing. How serious are their injuries? I don't know the answer to that. Coach says they're not that serious, so that's good news. But one thing that happened right after that was not football related, if you are on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, you saw there was a kind of a neat impromptu get together up in God's country. Jaden Ivey was in town to practice. He practiced with PJ's little brother, Isaiah Thompson was back. Isaiah Thompson was back in town. Sash was practicing with the guys. But one thing that I took from this little report of this and the photos is the culture within the Purdue basketball program is so strong right now. And that's something that you got to love to see. Alums and players alike get along really well. Can't really fake that stuff. It doesn't feel like these guys are acting. Feels like they want to be home, want to come back to Purdue. That's nothing but positive. And I think that the more you see of the new guys being folded in, the way they're folded in, the fact that these guys hang out off the court, that's all good stuff. And you can't really, you can't put a number on how worthwhile that is. But it's pretty damn important once these guys get on court, how much they like each other. I just like to see that. I thought that was noteworthy. Okay, now jump into the football practice stuff. Most of this stuff is straight from Walter's mouth. Some of it is based on some other reports, but I'm going to try to stick to script as much as I can. First one thing that I saw was Coach Walters was mic'd up at the end of the week last week. During practice, he loves the defensive backs. his enthusiasm on the field is so palpable. When you watch him going out there, he looks great. It looks like he could play right now. That's noteworthy to me because I'm always impressed with guys that are in better shape than I can stand. Granted, he's got the fitness advantage and a pretty decent weight room to use, but still, Coach Walters doesn't have to look like he can play, but right now he looks like he could play defensive back, and he loves Purdue's defensive back. He looks like he's ready for the season. The enthusiasm is great to see. One thing that he keeps mentioning during questioning is you keep hearing about Rigby, the freshman wide receiver. He still looks good to coach. In case you don't know, Rigby is 6'5", 170 pounds. He's a true freshman. Now, will he be on the two deeps come game 2? I don't know. Will he be on the two deeps come game 1? I don't know. He's not on the two deeps right now, according to estimations from different publications. But the fact that Coach Walters keeps bringing him up is the thing that has my attention. Plus 6'5". You see guys that are 6'5", 6'4", 6'3". I keep saying this. These big-bodied possession type receivers can go up and get it. All of them are athletic too. If you watch them in practice, there's another kid from Hamilton Southeastern. He's from right down the road from me, who's I think 6'4". You have a lot of young receivers that are big and athletic, and then you have some guys, some veterans mixed into the group too. So this is a big difference from where Purdue receivers have been, I think, in the past few years. Having that many big options in short yardage, if you want to use the pass that way, where you just go up and get it, especially on the goal line, that might be an option. Maybe a new wrinkle they move into the offense. We'll see. But it's got my attention, and it's got Coach Walter's attention. Next, Walter says that offense and defense and the scrimmages and the skirmishes and the in practice time been pretty even. Says been a good back and forth. There's been good moments for both. That's the tough thing about scrimmages, like they had a week and a half ago or a week ago. Was it? It doesn't matter. When it's a good play, it's a good play for your team. It's a bad play, it's a bad play for your team. But the good news is, it sounds to me like the offense might be catching up a little bit. That's good to hear. If you read between the lines, another name that keeps coming up on the coaches' radar, whether it's Walters or other coaches, Will Helt, the kid out of Carmel. His improvement, his build, his tenacity seems to be noteworthy. Mo Amanade is another guy that keeps coming up. Mo's a Lafayette product. Awesome to see the local guys doing well. But if you know anything about Mo, he's not the biggest guy. I'd call him Big Mo, 6 feet tall, 286 pounds. But when you compare him to the player that's in front of him, Cole Brevard, he's 6'3", 333 pounds. And being on the nose, it's a tough place to be if you're not the biggest guy. But if you can be a bowling ball and be a wrecking ball, you can make a lot of noise. And that's what Mo's been doing. His engine, his motor, doesn't stop. According to coaches, he just doesn't take plays off, and he doesn't stop until the whistle. So look for Mo to make some noise on the field again. Last year he was doing it, but I think you've got some really, really good strength in the middle of the line on defense. Another thing that I thought was super noteworthy, actually, was the talk of Reggie Love being a 50-50 split back. I think that's really, really noteworthy. Maccabee, of course, I think everybody thought that's the starter, no question. But it sounds like Coach Walters is saying a 1A, 1B type situation. He called them 1 and 2. He said 50-50 twice in one of the post-practice interviews. I thought that was noteworthy. I thought that was interesting. The big thing is, will he be on somewhat of a pitch count, because he's a guy that has a history of injury, but he is also a guy that has history of starting the Big Ten. Can't discount that. Behind Maccabee and behind Maccabee and Love, it's a little dicey. Guys are younger. You don't have the experience, so we'll see what they do to. Will they bring guys up and play them more just to try to get them ready in situations, or will they try to just kind of avoid situations where guys are going to get injured? I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, Purdue leaned heavily on the run last year, the strength of the run. I think they'll do it again this year. So the young guys are going to have to get experience quickly. Let's see. This is officially the last week of practice before game week prep begins, meaning looking at a specific team's film practicing for that specific team, Indiana State, coming up for the kickoff. That's interesting. That's noteworthy. But also noteworthy is it's the first week of classes. LBD is planted at Purdue. He's started his classes, and these Purdue football players have started going to class. So that changes their rhythm and how they practice and the way they do things. So camp officially ended on the weekend, and that matters. Finally, one thing. Let's see. There's two more things here. There will not be a group of captains that are announced before the beginning of the season. In fact, these guys will be weekly captains. They'll pick them that way. That's not that unusual, I think, for many programs. Golden Black reported that Brahms teams did that, but I always felt like Purdue had very, very established captains. Maybe I was wrong. I think that's about, one other thing. It remains noteworthy to me. There still is no clear defined kicker. I know that's a weird thing. It was something I talked about, I think, 2 weeks ago. But it looks like for the kickoff duties, it's Freehill versus Lopez. And then for the field goal duties, from what I'm gathering, it is Freehill versus Porath. And I don't know if it's good or bad news. I really can't tell. It sounds like it's not great news to me. Again, reading between the lines that nobody's really taking the bull by the horns, but maybe they're all kicking at a pretty good clip. I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think it's great. Okay, finally, one thing I wanted to talk about. If you guys remember back when Purdue beat Tennessee, there was a video put out by Boiler Son, Boilerson, who made a really, really kind of a breakthrough video for the program. One of my favorite things on that video is a snippet of the telecast of that Tennessee game. At the end of that game, there's this moment where, easy for me to say, where the camera pans the crowd. And it's my favorite part of the whole video. And it's nothing that that the producer of the video did. It's more of the moment. What was happening right then? And because I think if you're a Purdue fan, you relate well with this. And I almost did an entire video just on that 2-3 seconds of video, because I've gone back and watched that video over and over and over. I haven't watched it probably in a month. But whenever I watch that Boiler Sun video, I go back and I watch that one section. I just keep rewinding. And the reason I keep going back and looking at it is, and I would ask you to do the same thing. If you're a dork like me and you get emotional about that game and you get emotional about the fact that Purdue was going to the Final Four and they had finally broken through, look at the faces in the crowd. This is one advantage we have with technology in the HD era. Just look at the faces in the crowd, the way people are reacting. I love it. I love that there's old people, young people hugging on each other, people with their hands on their head. People their minds are blown by what just happened, how I felt. But I think it's something I think it's okay to savor one or two more times. We don't get to basketball season for a few months here. As you know, Purdue is now playing that I don't even know what you call these exhibition games where they played last year. They had Arkansas. This year they go to Creighton to play one of those. So basketball season doesn't officially kick off for weeks after that. But that's when I think you're really in the basketball mode, or you're starting to get there. I'll still be in football mode, tell you the truth. I try to stay there as long as I can. Hopefully the football team and the players and coaches give us reason to stay locked in, meaning a couple wins to keep this healthy fan base motivated. But the fact that we're all dialed in and have season tickets is a pretty damn good thing. So that's about all I had for today's QUICKCAST. I will look at comments real quickly, but I'm going to try to get off here because I actually have a 12 o'clock meeting. So let's see who's here. Ted Berkey, of course, checks in first, says, good morning. How are you, Ted? Alfred Dowd, my favorite listener watcher, says good morning from mom and dad. Both mom and dad are watching, and thank you for being here if you're still tuned in. Brian T says, it warms my heart to hear about alums coming back and playing with younger players. Yeah, same here. I love seeing it. I think it's good. Shows a healthy program. Tom Headington says, boiler up. Finally got on here live. Excellent. Alfred Dowd again says, cautiously optimistic about Walter's second year. And I think there's good reason to be optimistic. I've been watching, even taking in more of these videos on YouTube of non-Purdue people talking about the season, what they're gathering, what they're guessing. Everybody's guessing. So in their defense, you could take it all with a grain of salt. The big thing I think that's being ignored is the fact that Purdue brought in such reinforcements that are going to make such a big impact because of their pedigree they're coming from. I think that's a big deal. Breedlove, one of the guys who is a transfer, who was out for a couple days with injury, is back. But he's a guy that I don't think many people outside the Purdue family are taking into account that he's going to be really, really good right away. And that defensive backfield, being able to play true man defense, which they tried to do last year and they just weren't ready, that group wasn't ready to do, made such a difference and made them just shreddable for a decent offense. I think there's good reason to be optimistic, and it's not just pie in the sky stuff. It's that you've got a bunch of really talented, big-bodied, athletic football players on this roster. So I think there is a very good reason to be optimistic, more than just kind of guesswork. So I appreciate that thought. Just Jay Westfall says, just hope they can start out well, hold it through the season. This is a little different than last year. Like I said, I think, injuries are going to come and go. We're going to know a lot about how well this team gelled. That is a big deal because this transfer heavy era we're in, there are so many guys that came in. The question for me is, how much do these guys like each other? How much do they want to play for the guy next to each other? How much of the playbook has made sense to them? Are they holding things back and throttling because some guys aren't ready? These are all questions I think that get answered relatively quickly. We'll see that within the first 3 games. Tom Headington, good point. Very good point. Might want to be more specific on which time Purdue beat Tennessee. And this is a funny thought, and it's a weird thought, and it's something that I think I will eventually do a podcast on. How weird is it that Purdue has had their way with Tennessee in so many different sports so many times? It makes no sense, number one, that you have a relationship with an SEC program. It's an overall athletic program. It's not just basketball. It's not just football, because volleyball has beaten them. I think women's basketball has beaten them, I believe. I'm not sure about that one. Don't know that sport quite as well. But it's an incredible era for Purdue's success over one specific SEC team. By the way, there's no media narrative when they talk about SEC dominance in football that brings up Purdue beating Tennessee, right? That doesn't even exist in there. But it is odd. It is a weird era. And it's one of those things that I don't think it will end with Tennessee taking back a stranglehold on it, because that's how sports work. Things kind of ebb and flow. Instead, it will probably just end where the teams don't play very much anymore. And it's just been a very odd, 5-7 years where Purdue has had a stranglehold on Tennessee. The game that I'm talking about specifically is 2024 in Detroit when, can you see it? When Zach Edey blocked the shot and cemented the game and sent Purdue to the Final Four. But good point, Tom. Stripey Tawny says, beating Indy this year. And I hope you're right. I disdain Notre Dame. I tweeted about this. If they beat Notre Dame, we're in for a ride. I think if that happens, all bets are off on how good the season can be. That would be absolutely huge, and Purdue would be a freight train. Grant, who's big time boiler, who sometimes watches live, he talked about the possibility of Purdue winning more games. I think he said because of all about momentum. He had a quick cast, and he was talking about some of the things that the media is not taking into account. I tend to agree that this is all going to be based on momentum. So we'll see what happens. That Notre Dame game would be absolute rocket fuel to the team. So we'll see what happens. Alfred Dowd says he's solidly in football mode. Sorry for bringing up basketball, Dad. But I think you should be. 10 days out, I think it's good for us to get dialed into football. But boy, I'll tell you what, it is different when we talk about basketball. We get more eyeballs on here on the podcast. And I haven't tried to bow to that and just brought up needless basketball, but still, I'm in football mode as well. Can't wait to tailgate with my dad and co. Stripey Tawny says Card goes nuts, plus a pick 6. That defensive backfield again, Stripey, is one of the things that I think will be a difference maker all season. If you can come up with a pick 6 early, it's one of those momentum things. Defensive backs, as you know, their whole game is based on their confidence, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the guys to their right and left and behind them. And so will they make the risk and be ball hawks? I'll tell you what, if they can, you've got dudes in that defensive backfield. And you also have some guys on the pass rush on the edges that should be feared by opposing teams. There's a lot of real tangible reason to believe a scenario like that could happen. And there is reason for optimism. I know some people in the comments were like, dude, love your optimism, don't see it. But Purdue fans, it's a crazy range this year. I see people saying 7-8 wins regularly. And I see people that are like me in that 5-6 win range, which is, I think, somewhat level headed if you're reading. And then you've got, of course, the media saying 2 wins. Somewhere in that range is a logical take. I would hope to think mine is there, but you can make that call on your own. Carl Hiroho says, my only expectation for Purdue in 24 is consistent play. I do not really care about the record if they are competitive. And I think the record can be taken with a grain of salt again because of the fact it's so monstrous. You look at comparative schedules, or look at other schedules in the Big Ten, and what would Purdue's record be if they had IU or Rutgers' record? It'd be a different ballgame. It'd be or schedule, pardon me, IU or Rutgers' schedule. It'd be a different ballgame. Purdue has a very, very difficult schedule, and so that consistency, not giving up when you get pounded by a really good team, coming back the next week and playing hard, that's a big deal. Walter showed last year he has the ability to get a team rallied when things don't go great, because last year things did not go great at times, and they still played pretty well at the end of the season. So finally, Alfred Dowd says, looking forward to tailgating once again. Yeah, boy, there's nothing like it. And this week has been a nice preview of what fall will be. The weather has been beautiful in central Indiana. Of course, it's going to warm up to 90 this weekend and next week to get it back to normal. I'm sure for the Indiana State game, like I've predicted, it'll be 90 something and humid, and it will just be puddles, but I don't think it'll throw a damper on the mood of the game or the weekend. So there's that. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you continue to have a great day. It's almost lunchtime here in central Indiana. Enjoy yourself. God bless you. Hammer down. Talk to you soon. We'll see you.